What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including The Undertaker in the WWE Hall of Fame this year, Cody headed to Saudi Arabia, Brock Lesnar talks anxiety issues, and WWE fires a talent after 26 years in the company, Goldberg breaks character by dancing, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Now let's do the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story is actually breaking news as The Undertaker is in the WWE Hall of Fame 2022. As huge news in WWE as a company has now announced its first inductee into the 2022 Hall of Fame class, a name that quite frankly has been a long time coming. WWE.com just released the following news. The Undertaker just became the first inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame's class of 2022 as first announced by the New York Post. The dead man will be enshrined in the hallowed hall during the 2022 Hall of Fame induction ceremony as part of WrestleMania week. Now, according to the report, the Hall of Fame ceremony will be held on 1st April at the American Airlines Center and will stream on Peacock. The WWE will air SmackDown that night, followed by the Hall of Fame ceremony. The Undertaker's career speaks for itself, and his 3-decade-long dominance in the WWE make the case that he should be the only person inducted in this year's class, much like they did with Andre the Giant when he was the Hall of Fame's inaugural inductee in 1993. But whatever plans they wish to do with The Undertaker, we're just glad to see that he gets to retire in front of a proper crowd, not in the Thunderdome at the Survivor Series. Who should induct The Undertaker? Well, the only person who would be fit would be probably Kane, Mick Foley, Vince McMahon. Who do you think should do it? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, a big rumor as Cody is heading to Saudi Arabia. Now, a wild rumor is flying around, well, no pun intended, that Cody Rhodes was recently spotted at a European airport with the belief that he's headed to the WWE's Elimination Chamber event in Saudi Arabia. WrestleTalk's Sanchez Taylor is reporting Reddit user YogaWafflePL has now shared a photo to R² Circle of Rhodes taking a photo with a fan in a Polish airport. The user stated that the photo was originally posted to a Polish wrestling Facebook group and was taken at Warsaw Chopin Airport earlier today. And given trolls' penchant for pranking fans, we recommend it be treated with a good amount of skepticism. Nevertheless, we'll continue to follow the story if it develops into something quite substantial. We also have more news on Cody's exit. And the news concerning Cody Rhodes' AEW exit continues to come in, with reports that some AEW wrestlers were happy at his departure, and a report that AEW President Tony Khan could have blocked the American Nightmare's exit. Dave Meltzer has lots to say about Rhodes' departure, reporting in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter that, while many publicly thanked Cody for his work, it was noted to us that this was not universal. There were those happy both Cody and Brandi were gone and thought that the hero treatment given to him by some in the company after he left is a great public story, but not the real story. So what is the real story? Well, we may never know as fans are well aware of the tendency for wrestling fans to fall into the he said, she said trap. Nonetheless, it's worth considering what Meltzer had to say. There were those who said it was clear Cody was not happy about his loss of power, and regarding Brandi, she definitely had her critics. One person noted that Dana Macy never got the credit for a lot of her work when it came to things involved with Brandi on the deal side. There were definitely issues with the women's division, which at first was earmarked for Brandi, but Omega ended up getting more control and being heavily involved in match layouts. But even then, it's still Khan who had the final say. You'll likely recall previous reports that Khan took over AEW's booking, as well as unconfirmed reports that there was tensions between Cody Rhodes and the rest of AEW executives' vice presidents. Meltzer added, but it was also noted that a lot of the talent quietly was celebrating, and that it wasn't all the sadness that it was made out to be. One of the key people in the company said he was very surprised at the departure, but said the reaction was positive from much of the locker room. But Rhodes has also had his supporters. Meltzer also discussed that Khan had the option to block Rhodes from leaving AEW. Some close to the situation believe he got such a big offer from WWE after becoming a free agent that he couldn't turn it down. But there is still the unanswered question of why his contract wasn't rolled over, because legally Khan did have the control to prevent this from happening. Khan had done so for every other person whose deal had that option clause and thus couldn't negotiate for a WWE deal if they wanted to test out the outside market. Both sides have been quiet on the contract situation, but it's believed that he signed a 3-year deal with a 2-year option. Per previous reports, Cody was said to have asked for a payday equal to that of a recent AEW hires of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson, which AEW refused, with fans booing the supposed babyface Cody, leading to talk he wasn't seen as worth the money. Now, speaking of money, is AEW facing a budget crunch? According to Dave Meltzer, there's backstage scuttlebutt that AEW's purse strings are about to tighten up. On the WWE side, talent was talking like AEW had a budget issue, noting that two WWE names who were both great workers had deals up, with Kevin Owens being one and the other not being Sami Zayn. But someone whose contract situation has not been public, and there was at least interest in them as far as seeing what AEW had. Meltzer noted that AEW couldn't negotiate, at least legally, with Owens or Zayn at the time, but he also pointed out that the backstage perception that AEW didn't make a play, and the word was that AEW had a talent budget and were not going to match the WWE's high offers unless or until they got a new and higher paying television deal, and that wouldn't be until the start of 2024. Khan has also talked about signing more new talent, with Keith Lee signed and Shane Strickland and Jeff Hardy both expected to be coming at some point, and other ex-WWE names have been talked with, such as Buddy Matthews. Tony Khan does not seem to have any problem signing new talent, and some critics still believe his spending is out of control. Nonetheless, the case can be made that AEW has contracts expiring that will not be renewed, and Khan will use these funds to bring in new talent, such as recently signed Keith Lee and the likely acquisition of Jeff Hardy. Hopefully Khan is being prudent about hiring new talent, not only in terms of financial costs, but the ever-expanding roster's toll on finding TV time for the company's wrestlers. Next up, Brock Lesnar talks anxiety issues. Brock Lesnar is an intimidating figure, but he has his own personal struggles. During his recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show, the Beast discussed his social anxiety and why he needs his quiet time. I have a total crash after being in front of audiences, like I go hibernate in Saskatchewan. Sorry if I pronounce that wrong. Like my downers, like the anxiety from that, like takes me a few days to recover. Forever. Yeah, it's been that way. Like, I used to be on having big wrestling matches in high school, and like to come down from big arenas, it's like I get nervous around people and I'm awkward as F. Yeah, but I'm putting on a show. Brock has sometimes been accused of hating people, but he said that's a misunderstanding. Like, I gotta go through all this thing, and it's just who I am. And I like to go and just get away from people. And it's not that I dislike people, I mean, it's not been that way, but for some people, yeah, I just like to be left the F alone, because I'm like I'm in front of an audience, and then it just exhausts me. So I've got to go recharge up. What do you think of Lesnar's revelation? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, WWE fires talent after 26 years in the company. In another sign that seniority means a little to the WWE, the promotion has released another long-time worker. Meltzer reported this week, in a shocker, Carlos Cabrera, 62, who's been the lead Spanish language announcer for the promotion since 1993, was fired this week. He and Hugo Savinovich were the Spanish language team from 1993 to 2011, and he worked with Marcelo Rodriguez since 2011. Cabrera was something of an icon to the Spanish language community, viewed similarly as Jim Ross was to fans of a generation. It was an age-related decision as they were looking for somebody younger for the spot. WWE is known for its focus on a youthful-looking crew, with a few exceptions, such as Jerry Lawler, who appears on pay-per-view pre-shows. And finally, The Miz and Goldberg, two dancing fools. It looks like The Miz and Goldberg were two dancing machines at the recent party held in Saudi Arabia. The Twitter account Wrestling Club posted a video of Miz and Goldberg dancing at a party held in Saudi Arabia. What do you think of the moves? Let us know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.